Hey, what's going on, everybody? This is Marvin
and Amber,
and we're with the Family O. Libby is, as always, she's not interested in being in our videos for some reason.
Yeah,
it's kind of late, but we're gonna do a quick video, guys. We just got back from the Black Panther premiere. We're super motivated, super inspired in a number of areas, and we want to share with you guys 5 keys that we learned from watching the Black Panther movie.
Yep, so let's begin. All right, you guys, so the first key that we learned was leveraging technology in education.
So what does leveraging technology and information mean? This is going to be a mild spoiler alert, guys, so we're not going to give away any specific information about the movie, but we're going to talk about several things that when you circle back around and watch this, you'll be like, oh, okay, this is what they're talking about. Leveraging technology in education is pretty basic. So the movie is all about how the African, it's a fictitious country in Africa called Wakanda, and how some vibranium, if you watch the comic, this is not a spoiler because this is in the comic book, but vibranium hit the continent many thousands of years ago, and the people were able to use that material to just expand the technology of the country beyond any other country in the world, not just Africa. So for us, I believe that we have the ability, as far as leveraging technology, something like social media, YouTube, Instagram, Facebook. I think that, you know, utilizing all of those areas of technology to rally around that and to bring togetherness and unity, I think is going to be something that, as we head into 2018 and beyond, that we as a community, as a people, as a society, we really have to use technology to promote positive instead of negative.
Definitely, and a lot of times, some of our older generation, not all, because we have family members that use technology religiously, but sometimes we think that technology is new school, which, I mean, it is, but only for like the new school, the younger generation. But technology is so important in so many different ways. Obviously, it's just the way that we utilize it. But in this particular film, it was so cool because it was able to make so much movement going on in the movie. You know, it was able to move about in such a way, like I said, we're not going to spoil the movie, but move about in such a way that it was able to bring harmony in certain scenes and just be able to bring liberation in certain scenes as well. So we just feel like, based on our everyday life, you know, there are so many ways that we can connect that, you know, to make our people stronger and better. And even just, for example, with the movie, you know, if you've been on Instagram or Facebook or probably Twitter as well, I'm assuming, you know, you would just see how we were coming together based on using this technology, our phones and our iPads, how we were able to get the message out about the movie and how we needed support and things of that nature. Even petitions going on, whether you agree with it or not, you know, as far as, you know, helping our community or whatever. But due to this technology, it is just so powerful, you know, just being able to bring that to the forefront. And I thought it was cool how, and again, this isn't, it's mild spoilers, so again, we're not going to give any specific information, we promise. So you can watch this if you haven't seen Black Panther, but leveraging technology, the big thing that stuck out to me was the fact that Wakanda was like so technologically advanced compared to the rest of Africa. And if you think about the traditional ways that we've always seen, you know, Africa in general, is always a little kid with the fly in their eye or, you know, just some other negative connotation with the country. But here was a place where the vibranium was a natural resource at this point, because it hit Africa in the movie thousands of years ago. So here's a way that they actually took the natural resources and were able to create an amazing city, an amazing self-insular city that had no need for interaction with the outside world. So if you think about Africa in general, I mean, there are diamonds, there's oil, there's other very, very important minerals and just useful things within the country that, if you think about it, the continent should be way more advanced technologically than it is. And if you guys have watched our Journey to the Motherland movie, you'll see it pop up right about now, then you'll know that, you know, when we went there, yes, there were some
We went to Ghana, West Africa.
Ghana, yeah.
We gotta say the specific. We can't just say Africa because somebody in the comments is gonna beat us up for just saying Africa.
Even though we know that Africa, you know, it's a continent, has many countries inside of it.
But we went to Ghana, and so in Ghana, you know, there were certain parts that where you could tell you were in 2017 or 2016.
2016 at the time, yeah.
But there were certain parts of Ghana that, you know, made us feel like we were in the past.
In the past, it definitely was. I was telling Babe, we just had this conversation the other day. I was telling him how a lot of what was perceived as myths growing up about Africa that I kept hearing about, and that I've heard people present day say Africa's not like that. You know, it depends on where you go. That's number one. And specifically where we went, we saw a lot of that. Like I remember being a young girl, like 8, 9 years old, and seeing commercials on TV with like to feed the children and stuff like that. And we saw that when we went to Ghana in different parts. And then there were other parts that we went to that looked like here in America. I mean, it didn't modern. It was very modern.
So my point is that it shouldn't be imbalanced like that. Like if we leverage the resources that we have in Africa specifically, there shouldn't be any part that looks like we're in the 1930s or 40s. No running water, no access to public services. You know, not with all the resources that Africa has. That's just Wakanda showed how there was no poor area of Wakanda. Every part of it you knew was inertly Africa, but it was all technologically advanced, and that was like pretty dope. So so I feel like, you know, if we as a continent can come together and really pool the resources that we have and really look at the ways that we have allowed the outside world to manipulate and use those resources. And there's some corruption internally, obviously, with some of our governments within the African continent and some of our nations. You know, there has been some efforts by some countries to liberate Western influence, and then there's been some situations where that hasn't been the case. So I think that, you know, if anything, we need to get on the same page as it relates to technology, educate ourselves, you know, as a people, as a community. I had some books I just wanted to show quickly, just a couple books that we got from the library, just talking about education. So these are books here that we're reading right now. This is Tony Robbins' Money Master the Game. This is a good book on financial literacy, learning how to utilize our finances for the benefit of Africa, because we're all children of the diaspora, whether you're watching this inside of the continent or outside of the continent. If you are African American, Afro, Latino, whatever you are, if it starts with Afro, we're all children of the diaspora. Here's another book talking about Ready for a Brand New Beat, how dancing in the street became an anthem for change in America. This is talking about our civil rights, you know, what took place in the past, the music that affected the message at the time of, you know, we gotta get free, you know, black liberation, you know, just I'm black and I'm proud, you know, that pride, getting that pride back. And then what's this third book here? Prince of Darkness, the untold story of Jeremiah Hamilton, Wall Street's first black millionaire. I never heard of this guy. Have you ever heard of this guy?
Not until we went to the library.
Prior to checking this book out, we never knew that Wall Street had its first black millionaire, and this was like in early 1900s is when this book, when this individual was living. I want to say early 1900s. So my point is that we've been wealthy. We haven't always been slaves. The narrative that's continuously been told about our people, which is what I loved about Black Panther, was that I'm not one of those people that are tired of slave movies. You're not either.
No, not at all.
However, I am thankful that there's a new narrative that's coming out about us as a people. It's not just the current, you know, situation, but it's saying our potential. Wakanda is a movie about our potential, what we can be as a community if we really get on the same page.
Exactly, most definitely. Which brings us to our second key, which is pride and tribe. And not in, but inclusion. I'm sorry, of all African cultures, whether it be, like Babe said a moment ago, on the continent, or whether it's anywhere around the world, the U.S., UK, wherever.
Many of you guys may be wondering, well, what's our connection to Africa? Obviously, we went to Ghana, but we haven't really talked about necessarily what we are. Me and my babe. So I am a Nigerian, born in America, and you are?
And I am an African American born here in America.
In America.
Yeah, so but in our family, we don't make that division necessarily. So what I mean by that is that my babe is Nigerian and I'm Nigerian too.
And my babe's African American. I'm an African American
too. So
that's how I look at it.
Yeah, we consider ourselves the same. We're Africans, period.
Yeah.
And when I say we're Africans, we know that we come from a place. We, you know, in particular, we actually, I'm not even going to touch on the test that we did a while ago necessarily, but what I'm saying is that instead of us separating ourselves so much, we just know that we're African.
And I think that's super important. You know, the main issue, and again, this is a mild spoiler, but there was some conflict that took place where Chadwick Boseman's character, the Black Panther, was put in a position where he was being asked, well, are you going to be worried about us as Wakandans, or are you going to be worried about that group of people?
Yeah.
And so he had the opportunity, or he was put in a position to say, okay, well, should I just worry about me and mine, me and my group, my country, or should I be focused on the bigger issue affecting people of color? Yeah, so based on culture, you know, the culture says that I'm supposed to marry somebody that's just like me.
Yeah, Nigerian woman, as well as tribe as well, Igbo.
An Igbo Nigerian
which is what
woman.
we are,
So that's, in my opinion, that's just not, that's foolish. And I think that that's a very, what we call a Bush way of looking at things. Bush meaning that it's not reflective of the times that we're in now. If I were born in China, but I was this color, there's a pretty strong possibility that I would marry a Chinese woman. If I'm born in America, then there's a pretty strong possibility, which was at this point 100% possibility, that I was gonna marry an African American. You know, there's we can't look at the world with those divisions because you don't check that box. Well, although I feel how I feel about you, well, you know, you're not in that box that I was supposed to check. So, that my culture, my tribe, my history dictates, and for that I'm going to miss out on a blessing.
And a blessing, exactly.
That's foolishness.
Yeah. On the reverse side too, you know, you have some people that are the label of an African American that are like, I don't want to be with an African. It's not even. It's like all of Africa is like the same, you know, which there are so many different, obviously, countries, and there's so many different tribes within those countries. So it's even the same like that. Like, I remember when we first started dating years ago, you know, I would have people say stuff to me like, Amber, you sure do love them Africans, you know, and it would be very offensive to me, you know. Did you do something silly? Yeah, that's exactly how they would say, y'all. These are people that are African American people that don't even realize that you African too, you know what I'm saying? But it's because of the miseducation that they didn't get it. And then for me, I'm thinking I'm just with a black man, you know, I just like the blacker the berry, the sweeter the juice. That's how I feel. I'm not thinking like, oh, he's Nigerian or he's Kenyan or he's, you know, whatever other type of African nation, whatever. I didn't look at it from that standpoint, you know. So
and we're talking about back when it wasn't, like now it's a lot more acceptable. And we're talking about like within the last 10 years or so, it's a lot more acceptable. Even within my community, it's okay if you marry outside of your culture, if you marry outside of your race.
Yeah, exactly.
No biggie.
Yeah, but back then it was real different. Like, I just remember feeling like I'm with they man, and I'm just like, well, I haven't always been in the picture. I think if he wanted that, that's what he would have done.
And she got heat. You know, she got heat when we would go to a lot of the Nigerian type of events, you know, the weddings and all that. You know, she'd get them looks. She'd get them side eyes and all that stuff. And people acting like that they hadn't met me before and being like, hi, it's nice to meet you. And y'all... Shade. They were throwing shade. They were throwing shade. That wasn't a word thing, but yeah, y'all know shade. They was like throwing shade, and it was real different. You know, and I kept myself like a lady. A few times I had to not be ignorant, nothing like that, but I just had to be like, oh no, I've met you before, remember? We've met before, you know, that type of stuff. And again, that's because my tribe held an invisible leash around my neck for a period of time that dictated the decisions that I made. Whether or not I agreed with them, it didn't matter. If the culture or the tribe that I was a part of wasn't in agreement with it, I had to figure something else out. So I feel like within our community, we gotta stop the division. You know, because when we divide, that's why we've been able to be conquered as easily as we've been able to be conquered for all these years. I mean, if you think about, it was slavery, and then after slavery was Jim Crow, and after Jim Crow was civil rights, and now we're in the new civil rights movement in a sense, and it's because we are not using our Wakandan mindset that we're just one, you know, one continent, one African people, to dig our own selves out of our situation. We are still looking to, I don't want to say our oppressor as this ominous individual or person behind the scenes that's pulling levers and keeping us back. We are our own worst enemy, and we are our solution at the same time. Exactly.
It versus so like Babe is saying, I'm just looking at some of our notes. We just the separation, we have to stop that. We want to have the pride, whatever country you're from. I mean, it's just like we would talk about this all the time, how the Africans that are here in America, and when I say that, I'm referring to the African Americans that are here in America. We will always talk about how you have different people that are from different cities. So like I grew up in Dallas, for example. My babe grew up in Houston. So you're gonna rep your city, you know, or like if someone's from New York, you know, you got all the boroughs, you got Brooklyn, you got your Queens, you got your Bronx, so on and so forth. So we were talking one day about how America, and I'm sure it's the same way in other parts that have a high population of African people, we have our own little tribes, for lack of a better word, in, you know, in the diaspora. So my point is that I think that it's cool. It's not a wrong thing for you to rep where you're from, whatever country you're from, whatever place that you're from. It's nothing wrong with that. But I think that when you see your brother or your sister and they are the same color that you are, whatever hue it may be, whether it's from the brightest to the darkest, we are all one people. We are one Africa. We are Africans, and we need to realize it, and we need to pull together. And I was telling Babe when I was watching a lot of the Black Panther interviews and things, and it was just so refreshing to see a lot of the people that were the term they're Africans, and then the term of them being African American, they were just all together just talking about blackness and beautifulness, and you know, that's my prayer and my wish for us as a whole people, is to stop making those separations. It's even hard for me to say that, like even with our Lib, you know, like we teach her where she's from, you know, she knows, you know, her country, she knows her tribe, but then we also talk about just being an African in general, just to take those labels off so much, because we're constantly using it as a division mechanism, you know. You're
Ghanaian, so you can't talk to me because I'm Nigerian. You know, the Ghana jollof rice versus the Nigerian jollof rice. It's all the same jollof rice. There might be little variations in the recipe, but it's the same. There's jollof rice in Ethiopia, Gambia, Senegal. There's, you know what I'm saying? This all had to start one place. It didn't start in Nigeria. It didn't start in Ghana. It started in one continent, and then it spread abroad.
Out, and then even like we love Jamaican and Caribbean food, so like
they got what looks like tastes like jollof.
It looks just it's all the same, just different names, you know. And that's one thing that we've learned like throughout our relationship and our marriage, is just that we see so much of the same. And I think also because we travel so much, we've been able to see a whole lot, and we try different food.
The world is. How similar the world is.
That we really are.
We really think that one country or one place owns the rights, the patent to a specific dish or whatever, clothing. And you see the same thing in a different country.
Exactly, most definitely.
So I just feel like, specifically because our daughter is the union of two different cultures. You call her half Nigerian or half African American, you're gonna have some problems.
Don't do that.
You do that to me or her, you're gonna have some problems. Oh, you're half this, or you're half. And I think that, and this is tying it back to the movie, guys. And we're not gonna give it away, but those divisions were a big reason, a big part of why things went south for Black Panther.
That's right.
That's all I'm gonna say. But those divisions, you know, just made things very difficult. Making those divisions like that, even though we were the same, or we all looked the same, making those divisions is what caused a big problem for Chadwick Boseman's character.
That's right, very much so.
And that's all we're gonna say.
Okay, let's move on to number 3, which kind of ties into the last comment that my babe just said, which is love your neighbor, love your enemy, excuse me, you never know when you'll need them.
So right now in 2018, guys, if you have anybody out there that you just feel like, oh, nah, I'm not fooling with them, no more, I'm done with this person, boop, 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 de woo. If they haven't hurt you physically, or maybe wounded you in some other irreparable area,
yeah,
love them and keep it moving.
Yeah.
And by forgive them, love them, and keep it moving.
Yes.
And what we mean by that is, you know, mentally release yourself from whatever, you know, jail you've put that person in, and you will be free, because the longer you hold on to that, those individuals, you know, they may have whatever it was that caused them to wound you in the first place. They, because we believe that God uses every situation for our benefit.
That's right.
They might have, you know, seen the light, for lack of a better word, but because you're still holding on to that, you know, that wound, because you purposely choose not to forgive, that might end up harming your growth in the future. And so in the movie, you guys, Black Panther, there were several pockets of time in the movie where there was an enemy that ended up coming to the rescue. So that's the reason why we thought that was a good key. It's not what y'all think, by the way.
Yeah.
It's not what y'all think.
One of the keys that we thought would be just a really good lesson to take away from the Black Panther movie, because, you know, a lot of times we are quick to dismiss people, and I'm gonna be honest, I'm the first one to do it. I don't really I don't like really waste time on something that's not good. But I've learned over time that, you know, you can have family members that could be like your enemies, you know, and some of them
you can have co-workers,
and some of them you can't get rid of, because you might live with some of them. You might have some that you grew up with, you might have some that you work with every day. So you have to find that peace within yourself to know that, you know what, I may not have the best situation or relationship with this person, but I'm going to fake it till I can make it, and I'm going to trust God to help me through this process, and
I'm going to release them from what it was that caused me hurt, even though they may not even know that they hurt me.
That is very good, baby. Sometimes the people that you look at as an enemy, they don't even know that they bothered you, and you're like wasting your time and your energy on that, on those feelings, on those emotions, and they're not even thinking about you like that, you know. This story really brings that home. It's really a lesson that I feel that we can really learn from, and just to take that away, to just as a reminder that, you know what, I might just need you one day. And it's not even like I'm like it's anything I have to do. It's just God working through that situation where it's like, wow, this person showed up for me, and I don't even really care for them.
Or because, you know, we're people of faith, so we believe, you know, where the scripture talks about your enemies becoming your footstool. You know, God, in his divine, the way he connects dots, it's a beautiful thing when you step back and just observe it. You get old enough, you'll really see his handiwork. Don't hold on to that anger. Love your enemies, release them from whatever they've done for you. I'm telling you, it feels, the flesh, you know, the flesh wants to stay mad at people. The flesh wants to, you know, engage and go back and forth with people and fight them, you know, not physically, hopefully not physically, but mentally, you know, that verbally, that verbally, you know, them three dots, when them three dots pop up on your messages, on your, if you're on iPhone, that's when that person is typing, they got that fire for you, and you just have to make the decision to walk in love. I'm telling you, it feels better. I dealt with that, you know, I dealt with a lot of unforgiveness for a lot of people that rightly deserved it, at least in my mind. But if I look at things from the God perspective, from the 40,000 foot perspective, you know, you realize, you know, life is too short, you know, to hold that unforgiveness. And again, a lot of those situations, a lot of those people that were my enemies, you know, things are different. The relationships are different. That's right, but it started with him making the decision. It starts with us. You know, a lot of times you can't wait on someone else. You'll be waiting forever, and sometimes the situation still doesn't really change. But because you've changed, you feel better about the situation. And I think in the movie, in Black Panther, you will see that, where you see another side decide to do something different. You know. All right. Next key, you guys, is creating legacy. So it's how wealth isn't always money, but it can be tradition. So in the movie, you know, when you own a metal that is unlike any metal that's been in the world, it's called vibranium. This is a made-up metal that's the basis behind Wakanda's technology and their wealth. When you hold something that is unlike anything else in the world, that becomes a commodity. So the fact that Wakanda had the vibranium made them a very wealthy nation and a very advanced technologically nation. So I think that how that ties into a key that can be for us and for you as well is that we all have a gift. You know, we all were created for a specific purpose. We all have within us that vibranium, that special thing that can change the world. That's a big part of the movie, is the vibranium and the world, and that's all we'll say about that. But we possess that one thing that we believe our vibranium, in a sense, is reflecting a positive image of a black family. You know, don't let social media fool you guys. All these people are not perfect. A lot of people use filters. A lot of people have teams behind them that make them look perfect. A lot of people that are in those flashy cars, they're renting it. They're borrowing it and giving it right back. A funny situation, my babe, we were somewhere, and that's all I'll say. We were just somewhere on our way back home. My babe saw a young lady that she believes we knew her from somewhere, but obviously we've been in the city 2 weeks. So
we were like,
who is it that, you know, how many people do we actually know here? So, but my babe recognized it, and I just being funny, I was like, well, maybe this young lady is on Instagram, you know, and she probably is, that might be how you recognize, because she looks like a person that would be an Instagram, what they call them, Instagram models. And so my babe asked, well, do we know you from somewhere? And we ran down all these places in the 2 weeks that we've been here that she could have known her from. And the young lady was like, no. And then she asked the young lady if she's on Instagram. And then the young lady said, yeah. And then the next question babe asked was, well, are you pretty popular on there? She's like, yeah, kinda. And so that was,
and I was like, that's it.
That's it. And this isn't to poke fun at her. I'm gonna tell you what I mean. We were at a, I'm not trying to be funny, but we were at a gas station restaurant. And so the fact that this person was on Instagram with probably a couple thousand followers, but working at a gas station restaurant, that's not a bad thing for me. But if you're on Instagram parading yourself a certain kind of way, not that this young lady was, but there are people that do parade themselves like their life is perfect, but in reality they're working in a, you know, in their work, their real life doesn't reflect the life that they're portraying on Instagram. Is my point. And so I think that if you really tap into your truest gift, not the gift that you put out there for a lot of likes, not the gift that you put out there to look cool for your friends and family, but if you really find your true gift, your vibranium, your inner gift that only you possess, that God put in your DNA to share with the world, I think you'll be all the better for that. I
agree with that 100%, babe. We also were talking after Black Panther about just the ideal of wealth not being so much money related as well. Like wealth could be based on how you look. It could be your garb, your African clothing, like us, like what we have on, and what, oh my goodness, when you guys see the movie, just seeing the beautiful I mean, and everything. Yes, it literally, I told babe, I was like, we're coming up, this is our 10th year anniversary this year, so I told babe, I was like, I think I'm ready to go back to Africa, you know.
We're going back to Africa.
I was like, okay, let's go ahead and start working on those tickets, because it just made you, being there made you just want to go back home. You know, it was just,
or go if you've never been.
It was just so incredibly beautiful. So like wealth doesn't always have to be related with money, and as we saw in the film, it wasn't that at all.
It was tradition.
Yes, it was tradition, it was honor, it was power, it was respect.
It was history.
Yes, it was history. The way that a lot of the people in the movie reacted to the Black Panther character upon him coming in, and just the reverence and the respect. You know, it was just like, wow, that's wealth, that's tradition, that's legacy. Honor, that's legacy.
They respected, he was a line of many Black Panthers that have been there since the beginning of their tribe, and you know, of their country, and they, the same respect that they give historically to the very first Black Panther, that same respect, that legacy, that bloodline, that history, you know, they gave him that same respect. And you notice in a lot of European countries, you know, they talk about the Queen, the Queen of England, and all of the other people, the Dutch and all that stuff, like these other cultures they put a big emphasis on their history. You can't go nowhere in the UK and talk bad about the Queen. God save the Queen. They say the Queen before they save you.
Right, yeah.
So that's how much pride these individuals have for their royal, royal family. And I think that as a country, as a continent, we have to get back to that. We have to look at each other as kings and queens.
And prince and princesses with our children.
And walk in that, you know what I mean? Because these are traditions that if we don't keep these African traditions, you know, the music, the food, the celebrations, all of that. Like this weekend is Bob Fest here in Atlanta, so we're gonna be enjoying, you know, the reggae history, which of course still ties back to Africa. If we don't keep these things going, in a couple generations, nobody's gonna know. So that's you know, it's important to keep those family traditions. And we have within our family, you know, we have our traditions, which a lot of it is African in nature. And we're teaching our daughter so that when she has her children, you know, when we were, you know, tying her behind, not me, well sometimes me, but my baby's back, you know, the rapper, the rapper. That's how you have to say it. Tied behind your back, you know, that's an African tradition of the mothers carrying their children behind their back.
That's right.
You know, you have to keep the head wrap that my babe has on, the beard that I have,
having our hair out.
Having our hair out. You know, these are all natural. These are all ways that we are keeping the tradition
of our people, of our African, African continent. And you just made me think about with the rapper, how they have the carriers now, and like I forgot what it's called, because we actually had one for Liv. I can't think of what it's called, but when you have your baby, it's like the little pouches you can wear in the front and in the back, you know. We did that in our continent, you know, but it's like here in America, and it's you know, it's as if it's something new. Now
you paid $59.99 for a rapper from Babies R Us.
Like, when you can just get some material and wrap it. There you go. Exactly. And we will, like, even to this day, Libby getting a little bit heavy. She's just as beautifully thin as she wants to be, but she's getting taller. And you know, we'll still wrap her to this day, especially phone went out. Especially if she gets a little tired or whatever have you. And so one thing that I just wanted to encourage all African people, if you don't know a whole lot about Africa, it's like just start doing your research. What does that mean? If you see somebody that you know that you just think might be from Africa, whether it's they have on a head wrap or they have on some material, or if you hear their dialect or them speaking and you think, oh, that sounds like an interesting accent, talk to them and get to know who they are. That's what I used to do back in the day, when the more and more I was thirsting to know who I was as an African woman. Any type of person that I heard that had an accent, I was trying to figure out, where are you from? And I would just, you know, start getting information, you know, just in general like that, you know. And don't be intimidated. You know, there are some people that can kind of be, you know, off-putting and not wanting to really share, but there are a lot of people that are willing to share, especially when they look at you, you know, because every time when we're together, we'll be like, oh, we're Nigerian. They always look at me and be like, you're Nigerian too? Yeah, I'm Nigerian. Well, you know, what you asking me, if I say I'm Nigerian, I'm Nigerian, okay?
And leave it at that.
And leave it like that. But so there are some people that, you know, can kind of make you feel a little uncomfortable. But we've come across a lot of amazing people that really, you know, they could care less. I remember one time,
a lot of enlightened people.
Yeah, we went to New York one time, y'all, and we were actually in this African shop. I want to say it was in Harlem or Brooklyn. Harlem, I think. It was in Harlem, okay? And it was this lady, and we started talking to her, and she was from Nigeria. Y'all, this lady, so we were asking her, well, like, what tribe are you from? Because that's a really common question. If people may already know based on your name or whatever have you, but sometimes people don't know. So we asked her, you know, what tribe are you from? This lady would not tell us where she was from. She said it doesn't even matter.
It doesn't matter.
She was like, we're all African people. And then me, my little insecure stuff at the time, I even was like, well, you know, I'm born here. And she was like, and so? Basically, what's your point?
You the same.
You the same. We are Africans, and like, I'll never forget that experience. I mean, it just boosted my confidence as an African. I wasn't newly, because when I say, because for me it's more of a mindset. I didn't realize at one point that I was from Africa. Like, a lot of us can relate with that. That's born here specifically, but especially kind of not being received by so many, in particular Nigerian people at one point. It was so refreshing that she was like, no, we're all the same. She never told us what tribe she was from. She said it doesn't even matter. And I don't think she meant it in a standpoint of course she had pride in who she was, but I think exactly what we were talking about a moment ago. Yeah, taking away those separations. Especially from a negative standpoint. It's one thing if you're sharing part of your culture with someone, but to try the arrogance that comes with it sometimes. For some. Everybody's not like that. Everybody's like, I've met some amazing African people, like I said, they literally are like, oh, you're part of the family. You know, it's no difference, you know.
Right. So moving to our last point. Know your history. Africa has so much rich history. So many rich tribes, so much rich language. There are like hundreds of languages in one continent. Know your history. You know, if you are a person that, you know, you don't really see, you might say, well, you know, I'm black or I'm a person of color, but I don't really feel connected to Africa. You know, I don't feel like I'm in Africa. I was born in Missouri, or I was born in Japan, or whatever the case is. Let me tell you something. You might not make that difference, but there are others that are making that difference for you and about you. So know yourself, know your history. If you don't feel that connection to Africa for one reason or the other, you really don't have any excuses in 2018, especially with technology, books, countless books that are out there, and you can even take a DNA test and find out at least a part of where you're connected to in Africa. It's no excuses. It really depends on your desire, and my hope is that Black Panther sparked something in a lot of us that don't really feel connected to Africa. You know, when you think about the music, and today's music, you know, all of these little weird little dances that kids are doing, those are all, that's DNA. And that all stems from Africa. All back to Africa. It looks silly, but I can show you right now on YouTube. There's a dance that has been done just like that dance that's been happening. Our DNA knows our history. It's time for us to educate ourselves mentally. There's so many books that you can learn about it, and if you want some, you know, good recommendations for some books to, you know, feel more or learn more about the continent, just let us know in the comments. We'll let you know. We can do a video on it, because we do have some good, a lot of it is storage. So something that will be coming in the future if you guys are interested in that. But yeah, like Babe was saying, I mean, it's so many different resources. Even, you know, like step out of your comfort zone. Like, have you ever been to like any type of African restaurant? You know, like in Houston where we were, we had quite a few African countries there. Of course, we've had Nigerian food over and over again. Ethiopian food. I'm trying to see what else was there. We've had Ethiopian food. I think we've had South African food. That's in, I think that might be West African in Houston, I'm thinking. But just in general, just throughout our travel, you know, we've had food from Kenya, from Ghana, you know, just a lot of different places, just from trying different restaurants, you know. So that's the first step, you know, just whatever city you're in, just Google African food, you know, and just see where some is, and that will be like a first step to at least introduce you to some of the food, you know, in different parts of Africa, of the continent. And it might look a little off, you know, it may not look tasty at first, but so much of the food that you'll find in traditional African restaurants, when you think about jambalaya, jambalaya looks just like what? Jollof rice. And which is a West African dish. And who's to say jambalaya, the derivative of it, doesn't tie back to jollof rice? At least the J's are there. Yeah, that's true. When you think about, you know, meat pies. I thought meat pies were just a Nigerian dish until we went to Jamaica. And they call it beef patties. And we're vegan now, but beef patty look the same way. It's the exact same way. But we're in the Caribbean, and it's the same food. Again, know your history. Know where things began. You'd be surprised how much things are more connected and similar than they are different. Yes, and I wanted to bring up also, we went on a cruise for our anniversary this past year, last year, and we were in Belize as well as we went to Honduras. You guys, we're there too. I'm talking about, we look the exact same way. Same music, same music, everything. Africa is y'all are gonna see that on our vegan cruise video. We haven't done it yet, but you'll see it there. I might try to throw a little clip in it right now so you can see what we're talking about.
Yes, it was so cool, y'all. We were just literally in the middle of Honduras and just having like a little drum, an African drum session. It was crazy, amazing. I mean, just, you know, and another thing I wanted to point out about the Black Panther movie, you guys, and if you've been on social media, some people have been joking about like how we would be dressed. We knew we was gonna go to our stores and get our African clothes. We was like, we have to wear African clothes just because we just have to. You know, this is about Africa. We got to do it. And it was so funny because when we were there, it was so many other beautiful Black people that had on their, you know, beautiful African attire. It was different type of stuff. Some people actually had on like print, African print. You had people that had on agbadas, which are like for
the full,
men. The full
regalia.
Yeah, it's like a kind of looks like, I guess, a long gown for a man. Shirts that had Black Panther on it that they had gotten made. I also saw a young lady that had a shirt that had just different faces, that had different hues of Black people on it. Just very beautiful. So it was just amazing to see just different Black people and just their representation of what Africa looked like to them. So
I think it was a beautiful thing. It's one of those situations where I say, what a time to be alive. Black Panther was dope. Super dope. There just were, it was a perfect movie. Like, if you're a comic book head, it stuck true to the comic book. You know, Marvel does a really good job of keeping things, you know, as authentic as possible. If you're a person that appreciates Black culture, you don't necessarily have to just be a Black person, but if you're a person that appreciates African culture, you'll see that the designers and everyone around the film, as far as making it look like an African nation, they were spot on with from the colors to the design to the I mean, it was beautiful. It was very authentically African. And obviously, if you're a person of color, you should feel a high level of pride that, you know, Marvel, and there are some of those that are like, well, it wasn't made by this person, it wasn't made by us, blah blah blah. But I think Chadwick Boseman, he did a Breakfast Club interview and he addressed some of the individuals that feel like, well, this movie wasn't made by people of color, but he was like, y'all not on the inside, so y'all don't know that the executive is one of the people that actually greenlit it, was a person of color. One of the big wigs at Marvel is a person of color. So I think we got to stop that. We got to get out of that. I think too woke for our own good is the best way to put it. And just appreciate it. This was a movie that was made. It's doing numbers. We're invested in it. We got Disney stock, so we're hoping to see some benefit from that. But as it continues to do well, you know, these companies, they're business, so they're going to continue to make movies like this. And that's the win. That's
right. And that means if we're supporting, we're going to keep seeing it. But if we're just, like my babe said, we're just so woke for our good that we're like, no, and I'm not going to do that because it's not 100% Black, then we're losing. Let me tell you guys something. None of us are using anything that's 100% Black. I saw this picture, actually. It was a person that was, it was a person, and it's no diss to them, but it was a person that was talking about a product that they were using that was Black owned, but did you know that it was on a company that was white owned? So it's like, but that's okay though. You know what I'm saying? Because our objective, our whole thing is not that we only, you know, buy Black, but we do need to be buying Black. Because we realize that, I mean, if we had that option to only buy Black, of course it'd be a blessing to be able to support our community full circle. But we're not able to, but we're gonna do our part. But I think that we need to stop being so nitpicky about things that really don't matter. You know, it's a movie. Go see it or don't go see it. You know, at the end of the day, support or don't support. But let's not keep making it our business to keep trying to drag other people and to keep giving all these non-significant opinions. And that's how I feel, that they're non-significant. And then there are some people that don't have their own mindset. They're not as strong yet, so they just follow on. So if you're a person of let's just say of any prominence and you have a big following, then you could possibly have people that are like, oh no, I ain't finna go support that because just because he said that. Just because of your own thought. It's like, no, this is like, that's once again going back to that whole separation. You know, we need to work on that. I feel, and that's my opinion. And
that would be, I would even say I'm not gonna say it's a 6 point, but it's an honorable mention. That again is tied back to the movie. We done, by the way. It's been long enough.
We can keep talking.
We could keep talking, but you know, groupthink, getting away from that groupthink mentality, that also made big problems in the film because there was a groupthink mindset, one way of doing things, and when one person said this is the way it needs to be, those that were of a weaker mind were like, yeah,
this is what we need to
like
do.
lemmings.
Yes.
Just, okay, yeah, this is the way it need to be.
Yeah.
And you end up messing yourself up out of a blessing because you're not thinking independently for yourself and making your personal judgment call based on information that has come straight to you for you. We know that you probably have seen the movie or you're going to be seeing the movie sometime this weekend. We wanted to just throw this video together very quickly because we're hyped, we're motivated, we're inspired, all that. But a lot of the things in the movie, you know, we're already putting into practice, but we're hoping that someone who may not have had that pride in culture, pride in self, will now start to learn more about the makings of them. My hope is that those of us that might have felt, because I dealt with it growing up, you know, insecure or whatever, because you were African, you know, worried about the teacher jacking up your name on the attendance call. I was that student. I was like, look, don't even say my name, because I'm not gonna tell y'all my Igbo name. But it, just know it sounds like Chipotle. That's what I've been called.
And to this day, people still like will be like, I'm not even gonna try your first name. I don't want to mess up. So he still deals with it to this day.
Still deal with it.
And even with our last name, it's no one ever. Well, a few times people get it, but for the most part they don't.
Yeah, my Igbo name they butcher, and I'm okay with that. You know, I've been through it long enough that it doesn't affect me. But there's a kid out there now that might be, you know, might have felt a certain kind of way about their name, but I think if you walk around with a name like T'Challa and people, you know, call you King, I think you should be all right with whatever cultural name you've been given. It's a blessing. You may not realize it now because it's not a traditional English name or Western name, but there's a history. Again, history. In my name, there's a history. Once I learned that history or realized that history, now that's the name. That's the name you're gonna call me.
That's right, you know? So, and that's what he goes by. And
Marvin is just for our, you know, for privacy.
Exactly.
That's my middle name.
Exactly. And our Liberty, she has her Igbo name. I have an Igbo name that was given to me, and I actually have a Liberia name. And we have our last name, you know, that we're proud of. I know I'm not gonna say my maiden name, but my maiden name is extremely unique. And I remember when I thought about getting married one day, I was like, oh Lord, I really don't want like a just very common name. So I don't have to worry about that. I have a very unique last name. So I feel very blessed to have, as my baby used to tell me back in the day, he waited for me, you know, through slavery and all that stuff. He waited for me here in America, and we kind of connected some type of way. And so I still was able to get actually an African name, you know, since, you know, a lot of us don't really give our kids African names nowadays, you know, just due to slavery and just we
don't want to, what I've always heard was they didn't want to make it harder for us by giving us ethnic names. They want to make it easier for us, and again, that's just it's ignorance. Not ignorant like you're not smart, but you just don't know. You don't know any better.
It's like if you have someone telling you that your black is not beautiful, your African is not beautiful, then you're gonna steer clear from that. You're not gonna
anything associated with it.
Exactly. So
well, this is Marvin,
Amber,
and we're with the Family O. Again, the movie was dope. Please go support it. Go see it, not once, not twice, but thrice. We're gonna see it again. Don't bootleg it. At least not yet. Okay, don't buy it on bootleg yet. But no, seriously, support the movie, guys, so they can continue to make movies like this. Get you some, you know, Disney, or look into purchasing Disney stock. That's how we're benefiting from this movie for generations generations to come.
Exactly.
And please subscribe if you are enjoying some of the videos we've been putting out. We're back on our recording, so more to come.
Exactly. And we really appreciate you guys, by the way, just coming into our world for a little while and watching our videos, and those of you that have been commenting, we really appreciate it. You know, we've been doing this now going on, I guess, 2 years.
Going on 2 years now. We're at 3,500 subscribers, which is dope.
And we're not like everyday type of vlogger, so we really appreciate you guys tuning in when you do see a video, and just keep coming back. We just hope to keep giving you guys good things, good positive things, just the values that we believe in.
All right, y'all. Peace out.
Peace.